Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of Life Stories. I believe it is hashtag episode 13. But before we get into it, people, let's hit the intro. Yes, my people, welcome back, footballing community, for another episode of Life Stories. Hashtag episode 13. Joining me tonight will be my special guest, the original PG. Princess Guna. People, this will be a cracking show. Welcome back to Albert J TV. And there you have it, people. Albert J TV is back with the dulcet tones, apparently. This should be episode 13. Wow, it's flown past, man. Luckily for me, my amazing guest isn't superstitious. So that's a good thing. But people, welcome to the Southeast London red carpet, as I like to say. I have a very, very special guest with me, and I should get her name up on the screen. Where's it gone? But we should know who she is anyway. Okay, where's it gone? Oh no, never mind. But people, smash the like button like I always say. No, obliterate the like button like I always say. And subscribe to the channel. But people, episode 13, and I have the amazing, like I said, original PG. Princess Schooner in the house. Amanda, welcome to Albert JTV.
Oh, I'm so honoured to be asked to be one of your life story people. Thank you, Albert. This is weird, isn't it? You're the host and I'm the guest, and I love it.
Amanda, I thought I'd give you the night off. I mean, just be comfortable, sit back, relax, and enjoy the questions you're going to get. Even though you know what they already are, but I'm buzzing to get you on because there's a particular question I want to ask you, and I like to get people's thoughts about it because it's quite relevant to anyone in the football and YouTube community. But I won't get into too much detail because people in the chat, let me go into it quickly. My Tottenham wife has arrived. The elite intro, Holly Agrabah. I thought it was a nice intro. Yeah, I hope Amanda enjoyed it as well. There we go. Sam, nice to see you in the chat, mate. Met you for the first time covering the women's lionesses yesterday. Very, very good show, enjoyable. And of course, we got Carl. Go on, Carl, my brother.
Go on, Carl.
Everyone. Yeah. Episode 13 on the way.
You know what? It's the 13th of April. It's true, isn't it?
Holly. I don't know. Should I do the show backwards with my back to the screen? No, I'm not that superstitious. No, I'm not going to do that. I need to see my beautiful guest and talk to her. So, Amanda, we're going to kick off with the most obvious question I ask people with life stories when I start the show. Your Arsenal story. What made you support our beloved Arsenal? Influences, earliest memories, and hashtag story to be told. Take it away, Amanda.
Wow. Well, my dad, and really that's it. Full stop, my dad. It's just, he's the biggest gooner on the planet. Before social media, I honestly thought he was the biggest, most obsessed gooner on the planet. It's his birthday in a couple of weeks. I think he's going to be 76.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be 76. And he is still so obsessed. I can't even begin to tell you. So myself and my brother were born out of the football season in July, all planned. I can't explain it. He's a 76-year-old man that walks around his local shopping high street in his Arsenal tracksuit, Arsenal cap. He's just known. So when I was growing up, people used to say, "Oh, you're Kelvin's daughter, aren't you? You go to football too, don't you?" They didn't even know my name. They just knew who I was because I look similar to him.
Yeah.
My dad's story is that my grandfather, or his dad, was a Chelsea fan. Took him to the Chelsea Arsenal game in the 50s.
Yeah.
And he said, "I don't want to support Chelsea. I like the team in red." And that was it. That is it. This is everything. But what I find really strange is, like, supporting the Arsenal is in my blood. It's like a religion. Yeah. So it's part of me. So it's not something when I was going to football from 1974. God, do I sound old? I know I am old. I'm 53 in July.
Amanda, like I say, 21 plus VAT.
And a lot of VAT, especially with this government. There's loads of VAT, isn't there? Um, we're not going to get into politics.
No, definitely not. No.
So I find it really weird because it's part of my life naturally. Yeah, it's like my religion. Yeah. I find it really strange when I used to meet people and they go, "Oh, my dad supports West Ham, but I'm Tottenham." I could never understand it ever.
Yeah.
It just didn't occur to me to go and support another team. My dad would have chucked me out, let alone support another team. It just wouldn't have happened. So my whole life has been run by football. Everything, holidays, literally if I get invited, I've got a do coming up in October. Straight away, my brain goes, oh God, what happens if we're at home? I can't get out of it. I've got to go to the do. Yeah. So that's even next season. So that's how I naturally think. Comes from my dad. It's just completely my dad. And he still is. And he stopped going to the Emirates about 3 years ago, maybe longer. He got very, very fed up with Arsene Wenger.
I did.
Way before I did. He was calling him to go way before. And I think the cost of it, and Arsenal would only reduce it if he sat in the family enclosure without me, and he didn't want to sit without me and my cousin, we've always gone to football together for 40 odd years. He got disillusioned. He got older. The steps, we sit at the top. It's too much. And he gave it up. So I asked Arsenal if I could have that seat because I was next to him. Yeah. So I had his seat and I got his season ticket. And I think he's been like once a season he'll come. But I can't begin to tell you, Albert, if you ever sit with me at football, the whole game is WhatsApping me. Whole game. And the whole game is completely negative. It's the biggest worry guts going. I don't even know how he does it anymore. He worries so much. If we don't get 3, goal difference matters. It's all so negative, but he is completely my influence. Brilliant. He really is. I'll never forget the day his first grandson was born, my son. No word of a lie. I promise this happened. I was in hospital. I was in a terrible state. It wasn't a very good birth. He walked in and he's so close to my son of 18 years old. But 18 years ago, he walked into the hospital. He looked at the, where the baby's lay. I can't think of the word. Sorry, it's late for me. It's been a long day. No. Where the baby was laying, looked in, he went, Seaman's gone to City. First words out of his mouth. And he's going to watch this and he's going to laugh because he knows it's true. I said, Dad, do you want to say congratulations to me or something? Seaman's gone to City. Yeah, do well there, wouldn't he? Yeah. Anyway, how are you? So that's his life. And honestly, we'll get to probably my favourite game and whatever. But the season after my favourite game, I went on holiday and came through Heathrow. And he looked at me and I went, you got the tickets? And he went, yeah. My mum went, do you two not talk about anything else? The first game was Man United away in the 89-90 season.
Right, okay.
And I've never been to Old Trafford. I don't think I'd been until then. And the first words I said to him, well, you got tickets? He went, yeah, we're going to United next week. I just come off holiday for 2 weeks. So it's natural for me. It's really not put on, Albert. It's not that I'm a fangirl. It's part of my life. I lived and breathed at Highbury in my seat. I'm not a London girl. I'm an Essex girl. And so it's not that I live around Highbury or anything. So, but honestly, it's exactly like my mum. Okay, so let's swap to my mum, yeah? My mum's side, every single one of them, and she's got thousands and thousands of cousins, are Tottenham. Every single one. My grandfather was one of the first season ticket holders at Tottenham. So, he wasn't alive when I was born, but my dad went to Tottenham with him because they used to go Arsenal one week, Tottenham the next. This is many, many years ago. Yeah. And he'd probably be turning in his grave if he knew his granddaughter had a show on the internet about the Arsenal. But all my mum's family, we're the only part of that family that's Arsenal.
Mm. Wow, Amanda, that is a proper answer to a very difficult question. Actually, a lot of people, have everyone's different in terms of their memories about Arsenal, but a fellow Essex person in the league just mentioned there. I've
Hello,
actually lived in
Essex.
Romford as well. Yeah, that's it. Get in there, Essex. Essex
Come on,
is it?
Romford.
Well, technically, Romford is Zone 6, so it's still technically classed as London, isn't it?
Don't start, because Carl Stark will now be commenting straight away. We live in the London Borough of Havering, but my postcode is Romford, Essex.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never been a London girl. I don't care what anyone says. It's Essex. Move
All
on.
right. Yeah, yeah, we will move on. I spent a bit of time in Essex, but yeah, it's not too bad down there. It's all right.
It's
I had a
okay.
good time anyway. But
Full of West
Amanda,
Ham.
fantastic story to be told. Like I said, amazing. We're going to delve into the next one. Where we got it now?
Ooh.
It's a tricky one. Even I had to think about this. Name me one ex-Arsenal player who you always highlighted in capital letters. Looking forward to seeing play more than any other Arsenal player. Hashtag tough choice.
You want me to do one
Yes.
over 45 years of going to the Arsenal?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll give definitely one, but you might squeeze in, another one after. I'll let you have that, man. Just
All right. So it has to be Ian Wright.
Oh, right.
He was my hero, and I'm going to tell you something else about the number 8 as well in a minute. He was my hero and still is. So when I interviewed him for the 89 film for AFTV many years ago, I remember standing there interviewing him going like this, like
shaking your head,
and he actually said, "Hi, Princess Guna." I said, "What did you say?" I was like, "Oh my God." I was like this, like an absolute like nutter. But yeah, Ian Wright, for everything he brought to Arsenal and more. And more. I used to see him on Avenel Road occasionally shouting at people because that was his nature. Anyone has a go at Ian Wright is having to go back, as you can see. And I love him. I still love him. And it's funny that nowadays he gets slated quite a bit. In my day of watching him play for the Arsenal, he was never, ever, ever slated by any Arsenal fans. Rival fans, yeah, but never any Arsenal fans. He was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he's one guy. I'd if I met him, I don't know what I'd do, Amanda.
Well, it's exactly me. And I remember watching the interview back, and they're all on YouTube, so I can watch them whenever.
Yeah,
it's only a couple of minutes, but the way he did it, he just, and I've met him a few times and had pictures. One picture I didn't like. I said, "Can you do it again?" He goes, "You're so fussy." I think, "Oh my God, I've asked Ian Wright just to do another picture with me." Like, but you see, footballers are human, Albert. If you treat them with a bit of respect, you have that I'm friends with KC and Alan Smith, and they're just decent people. Nowadays, I don't know any footballers, obviously, of now generation, but Ian Wright was the one. But there's so many. Tony Adams. I mean, he comes such a close call to number 1. I've got so many over the years. Ray Parlour was. See, this is my era more of the 80s. Yeah. Ray Parlour was absolutely one of the funniest blokes I've ever met. Honestly, I was at a breakfast do and he was there. I just was like, I could listen to him all day. It's funny. Different eras now. I don't know. I think if I met Saka or Emil Smith Rowe now, I'd feel like their mum. I'm old enough to be their mum. I could old enough to be their grandmother.
Yeah,
I think be their mum.
I think one good thing about Wright here, Amanda, is, and I had this conversation with one of my sort of guys I collab with. I said, he has, to me, even now as the age he is now and doing the punditry, he has that cross appeal to the younger audience in terms of the footballers. He said he's very protective of some of the guys that play for England, for the national team, for example. If they're getting hammered, he will generally stick up for them. And he was at the Brit Awards of Bukayo Saka.
Oh, I love that.
Right, his fashion sense. He does. I sometimes have to. I can't stop laughing. He just makes me laugh.
He's just one on his own, and he is an absolute superb. Well, for Arsenal, he was outstanding. Yeah, absolutely outstanding.
That's the thing. I always encourage people, man. Like, obviously, people can't help when they're born, but after they even just watch the Ian Wright's Premier League goals on Sky Sports, or just see some of the goals he scored. Ian Wright was a serious striker. I would say the only unfortunate thing for him is that the era he played, and I've said it, I think he should have had way more England caps than he did. But
Right,
look,
yeah.
some of the strikers that were still Robbie Fowler, Shearer, Sheringham, Ferdinand.
Brilliant strikers. You can't deny
yeah,
that. The problem,
yeah,
I remember watching him play for England once,
yeah.
and it was against, if I'm right, it was against Italy. I was going to say Rome, like, because I'm mental. It was against Italy, and he hit
Was
the
that
bar.
the World Cup qualifier?
Hit the bar at the post.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? I have no clue when it was.
Yeah.
I felt so sad because we knew what he could give. It just never turned out for England well for him, but for Arsenal, phenomenal. And when he scored 178 goals, but he thought he'd scored 178, he was 177. It brings the vest up, and then he goes, "Oh yeah, no," and then he scores again, and he brings the vest up, and that we had characters in those days. I'm not saying we haven't now, but we had characters that played for the badge. They really did.
Yeah, no, you make a good point with that, Amanda. Before we move on to the next question, I always say this, and I don't say it because I'm trying to be disrespectful to the current players that play for Arsenal, but I don't really have that love for some of the players like I did for like Casey and Wrighty and Merce and Kevin Richardson, who people won't know about, the younger generation. A seriously good player. Go and ask Casey, ask Amanda, ask whoever. Seriously good footballer, man. And Wrighty was just class, man. And obviously run for Pele in there, Tommy's put as well.
But we've had so many class players. Someone like Brian Marwood on the wing.
Yeah.
I mean, people go, Brian who? Because he wasn't, in the media so much. We didn't have social media then, but Brian Marwood was absolute phenomenal player. Paul Davis.
That name, 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, we could go through, so many players. I actually loved Anders Limpar.
Man's a woman after my own heart.
I loved him.
Anders. Listen.
And I think nowadays he would have been quite high up, where then, again, not mentioned. No one really talks about Limpar. When you go back, they talk about Wrighty, Adams, Seaman, Dixon, Winterburn. Of course, absolutely. Phenomenal back five.
Yeah, I would say I'm glad you got up Limpar because I love him. I've always made that very, very clear. I know he had a lot of injuries at Arsenal, but if you look at, I would say, if you're looking at sort of past players, but in recent years, or he was that maverick type of player. When you think of mavericks, you think of Cantona when he's at Leeds and United. You think of Paolo Di Canio at West Ham. He was that type of player.
Oh, Di Canio was superb. Yeah.
But Paul Davis is a shout, man. Wow.
I was there when he slapped the Southampton player.
What?
About 84 games. Yeah. Can you imagine if that was Xhaka? He'd be banned for about 5 years.
God, yeah. I must admit, Amanda, right? Obviously, Wright is an obvious one for me, but if there's one player I must admit who I was always looking forward to seeing play, was Merson.
Yeah, that's my next answer.
Like the current crop of supporters saying.
That's my next answer to your question.
Yeah. Paul Merson had sauce. Seriously good footballer.
You need to be quiet because that's my answer to your next question.
It's all right. Pretend you never heard that. People, it's fine.
Okay, moving on.
I might have to flip the order, man. Who knows? But let me see. All right, let me see.
Oh yeah, you might throw me.
I'll tell you what. Let me go to another one. I'll come back to that one.
Okay,
this is a good one actually because it's quite broad. It broadens your horizon. So Amanda, who were your non-football sporting icons growing up, male and female presence?
Okay, so I had to think about this because I'm not really into other sport. I don't like F1. I can't stand cricket and rugby. I've got into a little bit rugby league. League because I had some northern friends, and one of my northern friends up north was a commentator for Warrington Wolves.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to learn it, and it was really interesting. I went to one rugby match once. It's so totally different to football. It's bizarre. It is bizarre. It really is. But none of that was really growing up. Tennis was the one thing I loved. I always watched Wimbledon, and maybe one other, in America, New York. But I can't remember. Honestly, I do apologise to everybody. It's such a long day at work. I can't think of the words.
Right, take your time. It's all right.
Yeah. So for me, John McEnroe was an absolute lunatic. But what a player.
Yeah, well said.
but on par with Bjorn Borg, who I loved.
Mm.
Swedish tennis player, superb, absolutely superb. Loved watching him win Wimbledon. Yeah. So John McEnroe for the naughty side, the fact that he cannot be serious, and the fact that he had that sort of temperament and that attitude where he didn't give a. Am I allowed to swear on this? Sorry, I don't know.
It goes live on Facebook, so you might want to use another word.
No, he didn't give a goddamn thing about anybody else.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that. So, but I also like winners, and Bjorn Borg was a great winner. Now, the female side of this, there can only be one. Can only be one. Navratilova.
I thought you were going to say that. Martina, yes.
What unbelievable tennis player. Unbelievable tennis player. And I loved her. And her and I think it was Billie Jean as well. And
massive
the American girl. I can't remember. Oh,
Chris Evert.
She married David Lloyd, didn't she?
Lloyd, that's it.
I loved it. I love tennis. Over the years, I've watched it a little bit less, but I still try and watch Wimbledon as much as I can. So now you jump forward and you've got people like Nadal. Now, I went to Wimbledon. I don't know how I did this, honestly. I was on centre court, row 4, behind Nadal. Ooh. I could see what sock he had on, like what name on his socks. And it was one of those hot days at Wimbledon. I don't know how I got this ticket. I think I just went in the...
Did you do the ballot or did you
ballot? That's the word.
Oh, well done. If you got a ticket for the ballot, flipping.
I did. And I think I applied for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I literally strolled down onto the tube all the way down to Wimbledon and had the most amazing day. And I couldn't take it in that I was on centre court watching Nadal. I was so in awe. It was incredible. So tennis for me is the only other sport that I really enjoy watching. Doubles, singles, men's final, women's final. I love doubles, actually. It's good fun. I used to play tennis quite a bit many years ago, and I was quite good. No, I wasn't, champion going any of that. But yeah, Tom said a good one, so I can see the comments. Gabriella Sabatini. God, that rings bells.
You know what? And to be honest, I probably fancied her as well, if I'm being honest with you.
I didn't. Just to let you know, I didn't.
She was Gabriella Sabatini. Tom, what a shout, mate. But Amanda, could you, like, with the tennis, I mean, I'm a big tennis fan as well. Like, with the era, obviously, you had Connors, McEnroe, Borg, and then obviously
Jimmy Connors.
Becker came down a bit later. But and you look at the era sort of now in the last 10 years with Nadal, obviously, Djokovic and Federer. And Murray's competed very well in that era as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite era, or how different do you think both eras were in terms of standard? Again,
it all just comes down to different eras with social media, doesn't it? I think I just watched telly in July, watched Wimbledon when I was growing up every year. I made sure I sat. It used to be boiling hot weather July in England, so you used to sit in the lounge with the windows open and watch tennis. You didn't miss it. It didn't clash with the football season.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And you had no roof back then either.
No, you didn't. I also went back to Wimbledon and watched a women's semi-final or something.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as good. I was stuck at the top.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I loved going to Wimbledon. But tennis now, I mean, you can't look, Djokovic, amazing player.
Yeah, he is.
Nadal, amazing player. But I love Andy Murray because he's Arsenal. So, you feel like, got to support Andy Murray, want him to do well. But he didn't like the English, did he? So Scottish. But
yeah, he made that comment.
Clear. But the funny thing is, when England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales are in any competition, I want them all to win. I want them all to win, all of them. So
you just don't get that. It just, I don't know.
It doesn't repeat. I remember meeting some Scottish people on holiday, and they just couldn't believe it. They don't like the English. It's like, okay, well, I like you, and I want you to win your football all the time. And obviously now we've got Kieran Tierney in the Scotland team and everything. So anyway, sorry, I digress. What was saying? Tennis. It was Navratilova, Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe. For different reasons.
No, good shout, man. Good sport. I mean, for me, I made no secret. I love, obviously, football's my main love, but massive athletics fan. Love tennis. I love the sports you probably don't like either. But golf, cricket, tennis, everything. But no, for me, athletics was a massive part of my growing up. So seeing people like Linford, Chrissy take on the Americans, and beat them.
Mm.
The Americans used to really, I'm not going to swear, they used to annoy me. This is so brash, just arrogant, and he took them on and he beat them, and I loved that.
Yeah.
Mo Farah's even current wise, I
Oh, I
just
love
think,
Mo Farah.
yeah, obviously he's a gooner, but I just think middle distance running for Britain was a massive, massive thing with Cohen Ovett. But there were many years with the male and the female side of it before Kelly Holmes came along, and obviously Mo Farah, where we didn't really get a lot of people make finals, let alone
No.
win medals. So for Mo to come and dominate 10 global gold medals, it's insane. He's got records in the marathon 1500. He's been exceptional. I don't think we'll see anything like it for a very, very long time. And I have to give a special mention to Christine Orogu, not only because she's a fellow Nigerian, but I don't think she doesn't get the recognition,
The credit.
Yeah, two world championship gold medals, Olympic gold medal, British record holder at 400 meters, a superb youngish lady because she's retired now. But yeah, I thought I'd give her a shout. But Amanda, great answers. Right, let me go to the chat quickly. People, thank you for the people tuning in. Lively comments in the chat as I thought there would be, and I appreciate the support. Obviously, because I've got royalty with me doing live stories.
Be quiet, royalty.
I'm going to say that because I've got you on, but
I'm only Princess Guna because Kevin Campbell calls me it. That was it. It was PG, and that was it. That's where it stuck.
Yeah,
Blame Kev.
I like the PG, man. I like the PG bit. Right, let's get into the next one. You know what? I'm going to kick off with it, but I'm going to come to you because I'm going to say someone kind of mentioned it when they came on my show for live stories. I think it was episode 10 or 11. I can't remember how long he's at Arsenal for, Amanda. You probably have to tell me, but I thought Silvino was a good player for us at left back.
He was, but he wasn't.
Yeah, he won't come across as someone that.
No.
But it's definitely not an obvious one. But I actually thought, and I obviously remember the goal he scored at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. I thought he was what a finish. But yeah, like Tommy mentioned in the chat, Paul Davis was probably actually not even probably, he would get into our midfield now.
I'd get into our midfield now.
He would, 100% he would. But yeah, Amanda, go on. Not an easy question because again, there's many people you could think of. But who did you sort of narrow it down to?
Well, it was Merson. That's who you brought up before. So I was like, oh no, that was my answer. Yeah, Paul Merson.
Yeah, Merson.
Very unsung hero. But again, when you said Kevin Richardson, I thought, oh yeah, him as well.
Yeah, Rico.
There's quite a few. I don't do well when you ask me one. I just give me five.
You can you can slip in a couple. Go on. Put in someone else. Go on then.
No, Paul Merson was. I loved watching Paul play. I loved watching the Merce. He gave us so much, and he went. Yeah. He did so much work as well that people don't realise. It's so weird over the years because you'll know Ian Wright, you'll know Thierry Henry. You know, you look at those strikers and you go, you know, they're the heroes. But the ones that work around them, obviously Dennis Bergkamp, but you know, the ones that work around them. I'll tell you, one of my ultimate favourite players that I don't know if goes under the radar is Mark Overmars. Oh my God, did I love Mark Overmars? Oh my God, what a player. What a player he was. There's so many. Yeah. See, Arsenal fans don't realise how lucky we were with what we've had over the years. Yeah, Carl's right. Edu was fantastic as well, but he got injured.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not Edu. Sorry. I always think Edu's Eduardo. I get confused. Right. Yeah. Edu, he was fantastic. But because he's part of the Arsenal now, he gets mentioned. You know, you think, as I said before, Brian Marwood, wonderful. But Paul Merson, for me, very unsung, but very close to Paul Davis. I couldn't choose. I wasn't sure whether to go Paul Davis or Paul Merson. Both were very unsung heroes for us. And I know a lot of people don't like Merson in the media at the moment. Well, they don't rate him or whatever.
But if you see him play, yeah. And that's the thing.
I mean, he... As much as, you know, we know he brought up and he was a Chelsea fan, he loved Arsenal. And I saw it a few do's as well, like when I was a junior gunner. And I loved Paul Merson. I really did. What he gave us on the pitch, it's very unsung, very unsung.
Holly, let me say, Holly, obviously, Holly, I know you're on the younger side of the 20-something. But
how old's Holly?
Holly,
how old are you, Holly?
it's Holly's 20. I think 23. I'm not going to age you before your time, Holly.
So
But
she
yeah,
wouldn't know that one
yeah.
of her heroes would have been Glenn Hoddle. It's probably her dad's hero.
Her dad would tell her definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be
Hoddle's-
Glenn Hoddle because he
Yeah.
was. I can't stand him because he was so good. I can't stand Glenn. I can't believe I'm having a chat about Glenn Hoddle. But
Amanda, I'm the same, right? And I know
She's
mind you,
24.
he was no, not with Hoddle, but who I tell you I thought was a baller. Holly will know. Holly's dad will know this was Chris Waddle.
Oh yeah, don't.
Listen.
Aussie Ardiles, honestly, they were. Let's not discuss because Holly's on this. Because Holly's in the chat, we're discussing Tottenham players that were good in the 80s. We're not. No, wash my mouth out.
No, we won't. But no, you make a good shout. Merson's a good shout. He's a very good shout. I think people, if obviously they look at him now as a pundit more so because they probably never saw him play or knew how good he was when he played for Arsenal. And obviously some of the other clubs will say that Villa will. I don't know how Villa fans feel about him or Middlesbrough fans feel about him or Portsmouth fans. But for us, I thought he was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. And you make a good point with Overmars. I think.
Oh, I love Overmars.
With Mark Overmars, he had lightning pace, but the difference of him, he had controlled pace, which was
the goal we scored at United. Goal we scored. I think we won 1-0 that day.
Yes,
I think that was in one of the league seasons where we won the league, and that obviously the battle of United with us all the time. Yeah. I'd like to come on to that in a second about what Jamie Carragher said. It was phenomenal what he did. Yeah, the battle of what people may not realise between Wenger, Ferguson, Arsenal, United was nothing as what Carragher is saying about City and Liverpool. I have got so many Liverpool friends. I've got so many City friends. Let me tell you, Liverpool do not even regard City as a rival.
No, they don't.
They weren't for years anyway. A football rival now, yes, absolutely. Two of the best teams in the country. You can't pull them apart, as we saw on the weekend. But I tweeted Carragher, and loads of my Liverpool friends said, don't even look at City like that. It's United. It's Everton. They're their rivals. Where if you speak to United, it is City and Liverpool. But Liverpool will come first in that. So growing up, watching, Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira in the tunnel. It's the famous tunnel incident. Gary Neville. Yeah. Absolutely. It was definitely the battle. It was a tremendous battle through the years. And that day, with Ruud van Nistelrooy and Keown and my life, so much. And then obviously you had Wayne Rooney diving for the 49 undefeated. And it was so much that there's so much that we've been through over each era. Obviously we got the 80s when we won the first League Cup in 87.
Charlie Nicholas.
Charlie Nicholas was my sort of, I fancied him growing up because I was 17, 18. I was 17 at the time and I fancied Charlie Nicholas. And I got to go to Wembley. It was my first ever final was 87. And I had the best seats in the grounds. I've never had decent seats since. We were on the steps. My seat was on the steps where they walked past me. And we won it. They came up. I shook everybody's hands and I gave Charlie Nicholas my hat and scarf. So if you see the hat and scarf in the pictures of Charlie Nicholas, that's mine. So being a fan, but sorry, someone that falls under the radar, there's quite a few. Definitely Davis, definitely Merson. But Overmars, with Pizzagate, with everything that went on, trust me, people, and Holly, because you won't know this really so much. In the 90s, it was Arsenal United. That was the battle for the league and everything. But then Abramovich walked in and turned Chelsea into this money. He could buy anyone he wanted, and bang, it was not a level playing field, and it ruined football, as we know. But yeah.
No, what's I going to say now? It's gone out of my head. It's gone out of my head. Can I remember what I was going to say to you, Amanda? Oh, what player was I going to mention? No, it's gone out of my head. He'll have to come back to me.
Limpard as well. He went under the radar a lot.
Yeah,
but
he did.
Maybe we say that, Albert, because there was no social media. I mean, maybe Saka, if there was no social media, would go under the radar now. Maybe we would be the only people that knew how good that boy is. So, yeah, I think it's just... I think when you cross into social media, so someone like Holly's age of 24 doesn't know any different. They know social media. That's it. We had years, Albert, that we used to just stand outside Highbury and chat to whoever talked to us. And then you'd go in, watch the game, moan to the people around you, come home. I didn't go to the pubs in those days, and then get in the car and come home, and whoever you saw that night out, because where I lived, everyone knew that I went to Arsenal, all mainly Spurs fans. And even to this day, I'll walk into a local shop and someone will go, up the Gunners, like that, because it's just because they know me and they associate that with me. But because there was no internet, it's very different. You swap into now. Listen, would we know someone who played for Brighton? You just wouldn't know the team so much. We get so much football now, able to watch, So
CFAX, Tommy, well said.
Oh God, CFAX. We used to sit there and try and update it, and we'd have to listen to the radio. And oh God, listening to the radio.
Yeah. Holly, go and ask your dad. He'll tell you about CFAX.
Oh, CFAX, teletext. Honestly, you youngsters don't know you're born. That sounds so
Amanda, you make a good point about that. You know what it is? I think they just tried to, with the Ferguson and Wenger thing, that was just unique. But I just think now they just tried to create this sort of the rivalry between Man City and Liverpool, and it's like they want Pep and Klopp to hate each other, and they don't. They just respect each other. Look, like Pep said, he said, I don't talk to him. I don't really know him. I've got respect for him, and that's it. But they're not going to create.
The fans aren't keen on each other anymore. That's for sure. They're not, because of certain situations that have happened. And they're all travelling down this Saturday with no trains, all down the M1, M6, all the way down to Wembley. Yeah. There's going to be chaos everywhere because the FA should have played at Old Trafford. They've cancelled trains, Albert. What are you doing?
And they've known this, and they've known this for quite a long time.
It's all about money, paying back Wembley, isn't it? It's disgusting. You should have semi-finals there. I'm on a rant. You shouldn't have had semi-finals there anyway. It should be kept for finals.
Amanda, I 100% agree with
you. I feel so sorry for them. I said to my mate today, your clubs should turn around and go, we're not playing. Just don't play it. Just don't play it. Don't go. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, your fans cannot get there unless they drive.
I know. Yeah, it's mad. I've never agreed with the semi-finals being at Wembley. I've always thought that, but that's nothing personal. I've never agreed with it.
Yeah.
Listen, like I said, it'd be a lot easier, like you said, to play the game at another stadium. But they took the decision. They're not gonna change their mind now. So what can you do?
No, of course not.
Yeah, people, big up to people in the chat. Amanda's fantastic insight knowledge as well. People, as I always say, obliterate that like button, as I say. Right, next question. This is going to be a gear change in life stories. So, Amanda, be frank and free. How have you found your experiences being involved in the YouTube / social media side of football? Hashtag positives and negatives. And I'm going to add another hashtag to it, pros and cons.
Oh, okay. So, about 12 years ago, one of my Arsenal friends said, you've got to go on Twitter. You've got to go on Twitter and you're going to love it. The banter of football. I said, who's going to want to talk to me about football? Who? What do you mean? I didn't really understand Twitter. I thought Twitter was only for famous people that you followed. I was only on Facebook. That was it. Don't think I had anything else. And I was like, really? I said, well, Arsenal fans are on Twitter. What do you mean? So I went on Twitter. I didn't know how to send a tweet. I did not know what I was doing. I'm not really IT literate, as you know. And I was sitting there. I literally sent a tweet to myself. I atted myself because I didn't know what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, I had 23 followers. I was over the moon. I was like, God, 23 people want to follow me. This is brilliant. And it built from then on. Then I had 50, then 100 and so forth. And then I loved it. Oh, my life. Did I have a brilliant laugh? I just loved it. It was a part of my life where it worked out well at that time. And then I got into tweeting about football, as in like just chatting to, I put a tweet out. Didn't realise you could do that. And then people would respond. I really didn't understand it all. After a couple of months, I was really into it. I got a little bit like, not obsessed, but the more you were tweeting, the more people were chatting to you, and you could find people like you that got upset over football. And, I don't know what year it was. So what, Wenger must have still been there. And, oh my God, could you imagine if we was in a cup final, we could all meet up and, it was brilliant. It was like that. It really was, because when we moved from Highbury at Highbury, we used to have a group that congregated outside the Marble Halls opposite on the other corner. So there's about 20 of us. Fantastic before a game. Loved it. Yeah. As I said, I never went to pubs then. when we went to the Emirates, we didn't really have anywhere to stand in that sort of respect. There wasn't a certain one place.
Yeah.
So we never really saw everyone again. And it became a bit, we just went into the grounds, walked around a bit, see if you bump into someone you knew or have a look at the shop. But
Yeah.
but then it all changed. So then I had my street corner, didn't I, on social media. I don't even remember if it was on my phone then. I can't remember how it all worked. And then I was approached by a guy who said, I'm going to do a podcast. We'd like to invite you on it. This is my words, Albert. What's a podcast? Where do I have to go? Do I have to travel to London?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know it was a radio. I had no idea what it was. And he said, no, you can sit in your kitchen and do it on your laptop. I went, oh, can everyone see me? Like, no, it's like a radio show on air. I went, oh, okay. And honestly, this is no word of a lie. I sat in my kitchen with my hair up, with my pajamas on, and I was invited into a group of girls. He wanted to start a girls pod. And I was invited into a group of Arsenal girls, 10 of us. And I take my football seriously, Albert. Okay. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not an idiot. I'm not a fangirl. I'm not anything like that. I don't go to look at players' legs where if I took a friend to football, she would be looking at their legs in the 80s, when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
So they didn't really know much about football and I didn't really enjoy it. And there was only one other girl on there that I thought was decent. One woman didn't even know who the England manager was. So for me, I didn't really want to be associated. And I just stepped back and I said to him, it's not really for me. Sorry, they don't know that much about football and I'm not going to be associated with that because I'm not a fangirl, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no, we want you and someone else. And then we started up a girls' pod. And one of the girls played football. One was the host. There was me and I think another girl. And it was great. And we did this little radio show and I was quite nervous because, we weren't live as well. Yeah. So we could be edited. And I think that's actually worse because I was like thinking, all right, what have I said? Can I edit that? Because in case I've said something wrong or whatever. I'm a little bit like that, Albert, aren't I? I say things and I go, shouldn't have said that. Anyway. Of course, then you get a bit more of a following. And all of a sudden I had 500 followers. And I was like, 500 people follow me. What? Like mental. And it built over time. And then I got invited onto other podcasts, radio shows, or whatever you call them. And then, I don't know how it happened, but got friendly with loads of different people and got invited to do, I can't remember, there's been so many different pods, but Arsenal Fan TV. When Arsenal Fan TV was many, many, many years ago before everyone starts shouting in the chat room because it's not a very long time ago. And we did a really good show called The Big Arsenal Discussion. There was me, Giles, my podcast husband, Robbie, and the other guests. And it was fantastic. We sat in a YouTube studio in London. I didn't get paid for it. I just went up, enjoyed it. And of course, then your followers get a lot more because of that.
A lot more traction. Yeah.
And all right. So let's just back up a bit. This was now a live. No, it wasn't live, I don't think. But this was visual. Okay. So because everyone loved me on my podcast, I went with that, just be me. And there was about 8 of us around the table. It was like a big Arsenal discussion, but there was 8 of us. Tim Payton was on it. I met him there, loads of people. And I was just me. And let me tell you, Albert, when I left, Robbie said to me, don't read your comments. I said, what comments? I didn't even know YouTube worked. I had no idea, right?
Yeah.
I said, where's it going anyway? Where does it go out? Twitter? And he went, no, YouTube. And I went, oh, okay. He said, don't read your comments. I said, why would anyone comment about me? I was like, well... When someone tells you not to do something, Albert, what do you do? So I read my comments. I got lambasted, and I'm not joking. It must have been hundreds and hundreds of comments. Get her off. What does she know about football? All she did was interrupt. She's got no idea. She's this, she's that. Oh, my life. I said, I'm not doing this again. Oh, my God. I was like, I've never experienced anything like it. And then the next week, when I was on the next show, I tried to be very different. Right.
Yeah.
And then someone said, what's the point of having her on? She didn't even talk.
It's the complete opposite. Yeah.
I was the only woman.
Yeah.
Okay,
As
this is what
well.
I'm
As
coming to. I
well.
was the only woman. But remember, I've grown up since I was 4 at football with loads of men. So I've never, ever, ever suffered any sexism anywhere. And even if I did, it doesn't bother me in the slightest because I give it back. It really doesn't bother me. I got so, and then the third one, everyone wanted to marry me. Everyone just kept saying they didn't want to talk about my football. They just said, "Oh, I love Amanda. I want to marry her." It's like it was mad. So I stopped
Yeah. Yeah.
reading the comments. I stopped reading the comments. It was the best thing I ever did because it didn't matter what anyone thought. I enjoyed doing the shows, and that was the end of it. Then we went live, visual, and then there was this big Arsenal discussion. And yes, I did meet some really interesting characters, really good guests. Yes, Holly, I'm always myself. You'll get used to that. I'm no different anywhere I go, even in my job, my life, even with my boyfriend. I'm no different. I promise. This is not a on. And I stopped reading comments, to be honest, because one thing you've got to learn, Albert, everybody has to learn this. You cannot please all of the people all of the
Yeah.
time.
100%.
Only some of the people some of the time. As long as you're not rude, aggressive, abusive, you're entitled to your opinion. That's how I see it. Yeah. If you cross that line, I'm not interested and you're not entitled to your opinion. The abuse that Xhaka went through was absolutely disgusting. I didn't agree. I don't think he should have played for Arsenal game when he threw his top on the pitch, but I never abused him in a million years. And what he's gone through is absolutely outrageously disgusting from Arsenal fans. Sorry. Again, social media. So there is the yin and the yang side. Positive mainly. My experiences on social media are positive.
Okay, that's good.
As you know, before we came on air, what someone had just said to me, if someone goes for me, I'll go for them in a completely sarcastic, funny manner to show them up.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't say, no, because I'm never going to attack you. You attacking me, I don't care. I'll find something funny to take the piss out of you, excuse my language. I will, because do you know what? Life's too short. And if you don't like my opinion, unfollow me. I don't care. It's my opinion. You know, football is all about opinions. That's it. And it doesn't matter whether you agree or not. You can still have a normal conversation. So mainly positive. Now, then we get a little bit further ahead. I go on to different podcasts. Then I started up a girls' podcast called Hybrid Hills, and with 3 other girls. And we didn't experience sexism at all. I didn't have anything.
I was going to ask you about that, but go on.
Nothing. All of us were very strong-minded women. We all had strong opinions, and we really didn't give a toss what anyone thought. We got some fantastic guests on. We had Ryan Giggs. We had Sol Campbell. When we had Sol Campbell on, it went viral because of something he said. Even when he said it, and this wasn't visual. When Sol Campbell said about, I'll never dog and duck pub or like a dog and duck pitch or something.
Yeah.
Sky Sports picked it up and it went mental because of something said. But as he said it, I jumped back and thought that was a bit off. I did think that, and then it was picked up. So over the years, and then as you know, Hybrid Squad was formed, and then I left there last year, and I loved my time. And obviously, I brought KC onto it, and now he's a regular on it, and he's fantastic. I love KC to pieces. We're good friends.
Yeah.
Go on, KC. Go on, KC. KC and PG. And then I had a break for 6 months. And then the lovely Craig on the Same Old Arsenal channel said to me, "Do you want your own show?" I went, "No." No, thanks. I'm not a host. I don't like hosting. I love this. I'm a guest. I don't have to do anything. It's lovely. And a couple of months later, we had another few chats, and so was formed the Always Arsenal show with me as the host, which is hilarious. You've been on about 3 times, haven't you, Albert? You're like my little sidekick on the post-game shows. And I've done, funny enough, mine's 13 shows as well. That's all I've done. And I'm still as nervous as hell. I really am.
How have you found the transition?
There is a good thing about this because my other half helps me a lot. You know, he supports me. He's a wonderful Carl.
Yeah, go on,
he's a wonderful support, and he's always banging my drum. Basically, he's always saying, "You're amazing. Stop being so nervous." But I run, as you know, Albert, you have to run the whole show, the comments, you know, that stuff. But bless Craig, he does a lot of the YouTube stuff because I don't really understand it all, as you know. I just do StreamYard. I'm all right with StreamYard. And I'm enjoying it. And some of the guests I've had on, I've never sat there once and thought, oh, this is terrible. This is a horrible guest. Because I've met you through social media. I've met you through Twitter.
Yeah.
And the most amazing people on the planet I've met through Twitter, and my other half, who I've been with over nearly 3.5 years, I met through Twitter and podcasting and stuff like that. So I've only got positives. The negative stuff doesn't affect me so much. Don't really take much notice. If, you know, have a laugh with me. That's what I do generally with anyone that tweets me. I do have a full-time job, so I can't respond to everyone all the time. So I'll always make sure I always read and press like, you know, to acknowledge. But some people I do, and I've not found anyone be that rude to me. I've seen it and I've stepped in. Absolutely, I won't have it.
Yeah.
I won't. Not anyone. No one deserves that. You're allowed to want Wenger in, Wenger out. You're allowed to want Emery in, Emery out. You're allowed to want Arteta to sign a contract or not. You are allowed it. You're a fan. You can say what you want, but you just don't have to be abusive about it. I love to interact with everybody. Anyone that writes a comment on my YouTube show, I try and get back to them as well. Even the ones that I had one that slagged me off this week for the first time in my shows. And I responded to it. It's absolutely fine. And yeah, I find social media a joy. I've met the most amazing people. The most amazing people.
Tommy, I'll pay you later.
He is.
I'll pay him later.
Absolutely, Tom. He's great. Again, Albert, we would never have met in a million years, would we?
Yeah, it's true.
I wouldn't have met. I met KC on social media. You know, I did. Although I had a picture done with him when I was 18, we didn't know each other. So I've had the most amazing Alan Smith. I met Alan Smith in a pub. Right. This is what happened. I kept wanting to go up for his autograph. I kept going back. I didn't know how to do it. I was so anxious about 6-7 years ago. And I was like, oh, he's talking to someone. But I knew if I didn't go up, I'd never get that chance, Albert. Never. I probably never see him again in that situation. No word of a lie. This is what happened. I went up to him and I said, sorry to interrupt, but could I just have a picture done with you? That was it. Not an autograph, a picture. And he was like, yes, Amanda, you can. I was like, how do you know my name? He said, I follow you on Twitter. You're hilarious. Honestly, I was like, Alan, what do you mean how do you know me? I was like, I honestly, and he will admit this to this day, that he kept saying to me, I know who you are. I kept saying, I don't know how you know who I am. And he said, oh, you're brilliant. You're so funny. And I just then we've become friends over that, you know, and he's been on my show. And I ended up interviewing him that night for Arsenal Fan TV.
Brilliant.
Out of nowhere. It wasn't planned. And I had to interview him. I was like, I can't interview anyone. I'm like, this is not me. But now, so 13 shows down, we've got another show on Saturday post Southampton, which I don't like doing post-game shows when we lose. I did 3 and we'd won. And then last week when we lost, I was like, oh, life. But I enjoy it, and I enjoy you being on the show as well. I like my guests to give something different, you know, and you do. I like you and James. You know, Graham's brilliant. I love Graham.
Go Brooksy. Yeah, go on, Brooksy.
Oh, he's
I haven't met Graham yet.
Oh,
that's mad.
Well,
I keep listening.
I can't remember. I'm going off Holly. Have you seen what she's just said? I'm really going off you, Holly.
Holly, behave with the chat.
Behave, you little Spurs girl. And so I just think social media, you have to try not to get irate. Try just if someone's really abusive to you, the best thing to do is not to block. The best thing to do is mute. They don't know you've muted them. Remember that. But if you block, they sort of see it as a badge of honor and post it. So I learned that.
That last bit you said, I think I might have to slightly disagree a little bit.
No, the reason is, Albert, if you mute and they tweet you can't see it. So what's the point? Unless you don't want them to see what you're tweeting, that's different. Yeah. But I've muted so many people that don't know. Yeah, it's just great because, you know, look, you know, I'm pro Arteta. I like what he's doing. I had the Arsenal photographer on last week. We had the most amazing show. It's gone a bit mental with everyone quoting tweets from the show, quoting quotes from the show without even saying it's the Always Arsenal show. It's just, it was I'm in such a privileged position. And if it wasn't for Craig seeing the potential in me, because I said, I can't host the show. I like guesting.
Yeah.
He's taken time, and I've learned many things over many years with many other people that I've worked with. And the only thing is just to be me. So I don't copy anybody. I just be me. And if you want to watch, great. If you don't, that's your prerogative.
No, great stuff, man. Great stuff. So yeah, in terms of like, just quickly before we move on to the last question I've got. So obviously, what would your advice be then to like people wanting to, particularly females, I'd say, because I mean, I collab with some of the females, obviously Holly being one of them, when occasionally because she's Tottenham, so not that many times. But I mean, I speak to a few of the ladies that I collab with, and I mean, luckily they've taken the plunge and have kind of done the YouTube platform thing and presenting and being on podcasts. That's fantastic, because you obviously need to see people that look like you and reflect coming into, I wouldn't say male dominated because football's for everybody, but in terms of YouTube and Twitter, then it's heavily male kind of populated. But what sort of your advice be to anyone thinking about wanting to come into it?
Don't do it for numbers. Don't do it for anyone else. Just enjoy it. I don't get paid a thing. I never have. I get the odd. No, I didn't. I think Robbie took me out for dinner once. That was it. I don't get paid anything. And I just enjoy it. It's a hobby. I'm not media trained. I'm not any trained. I've just been on podcasts for years, and I don't know if many people enjoy the shows, but I'm getting good figures. And so that shows that people do enjoy it. To me, it's go for it. Absolutely. You know, as I said, 53 in July, you've only got one life. Go for it. And if anyone does want to start their own show and wants any sort of advice, they can always DM me. I'm happy to do it, to help anyone along. And I will be having a lot more females on my show during the summer months. Definitely, I'm going to have rival fans on. I love female football fans. I love them. Absolutely love them. When I went to football, there was only three of us. There was Maria in the West Stand. Everyone knows Maria. Yeah. Me in the East Stand up with Janet, who sat behind me. I never saw another girl. There would have been maybe the odd few, but I never saw anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone that's into their football, male or female, I love.
Oh, good shout. Well, my little two pennies before we move on. Obviously, I've been quite open about the YouTube side of it, positive and negative, probably for the best part of 12, 14 months. So I've been very vocal publicly and privately to a lot of people. What I would say is you can be accountable for your actions, but you can't be accountable for other people's.
No.
As I've seen in recent months, that I'm not going to go into.
Listen, in life, Albert, sorry to cut you out because this is important. In life, you have to understand something, yeah? If I talk privately to you, that's our business.
Yeah.
It's not the person we're talking about's business. If you want to go and slag me off to someone, that's not my business. That's yours.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are of a nature where people like to cause a little bit of trouble. It's so alien in my head because if someone tells me something, it stays with me. I just wouldn't behave like that. Whether you've end up being friends with that person or not, at that time, the loyalty should lay with you at that time. And I know you've been through an awful time. You've conducted yourself in a brilliant manner. You know, I supported you from day one. And it's not nice what's happened to you. Absolutely not. I don't know why people feel the need to do it, but that's on them. You can't control someone else's actions. You can only control yours.
And that's the key thing. Like I said to you privately, I'm very happy to say it publicly as well. As I kind of had mentioned it on Big Up Keith for the Legend show, which was very, very emotional, by the way, when speaking about certain subjects. So, like I said, this is my platform, so I'm going to say what I like to say freely. And Amanda, when I mentioned about, I spoke to her, when I mentioned about covert racism, for example, now people understand what that means. then I don't need to explain myself to anybody. And the microaggressions and the behavior from non-Arsenal and Arsenal fans on the platform, inverted commas, was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Because the thing is, you wouldn't say it to people's faces, and that's the problem
No.
with social media, people. There's a lot of things that people will say, wouldn't say to your face, that they were very, very happy to sit on a keyboard and type, or drop in a little comment section when you do a live stream or a podcast. So people, listen, come into it. Like Amanda said, what have you got nothing to lose, do it, but also be very, very aware and very conscious that not everybody wants the best for you. And if they're willing and happy to throw you under the bus, they will attempt to do it.
But that's like life, Albert.
Yeah.
I've had friends do that to me over the years. Nothing to do with social media. That's happened. And you find your own way in the end. You know who you can trust and stuff like that. Just be careful. I generally, honestly, because I've got a really good heart, if anyone wants to start a show, I may not be the right person to come to, because someone like Craig, he built his platform up. I've just come onto his platform and he's given me all these subscribers, and, it's fantastic. It's already there. But it doesn't matter if 20 people watch it, if 20 people have enjoyed it. You don't do it for that. You do it, because you enjoy it. And remember that. Amanda, and you will get criticised. Trust me. Yeah. Someone criticised me on Twitter tonight. I thought it was quite funny. Yet you criticise me, but you follow me. I don't follow you. I've just done follow me.
Amanda, and that's the key thing you mentioned. I think this is the problem with some of the people I've seen, not necessarily even collabed with, but they're so fixated in capital letters with subs and views. They probably trample over their grandmas to make sure they get more.
Oh, yes.
And that's the thing. You've got to want to do it because you enjoy it. If you're not where you want to be, then don't do it anymore. If you're not getting financial reward from it,
yeah, if you don't enjoy it, I don't get anything. You don't get anything for it. So, no, nothing. But we just enjoy doing this sort of thing. And, when I do my show, I really enjoy the chat room, because people come in and go, oh, PG, this is where you are now. Oh, and I love that. Who doesn't want to have people to communicate with about your love for, Bukayo Saka or Emil Smith Rowe, or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's true, they just wouldn't come up to you in the street.
No, they wouldn't. And that's the ironic thing. Yeah, it's very true.
It's just keyboard warriors. And I think you've got to think that. So if you do a show, if you want to start up a show, anything about anything, just do it. If you've got 3 people watching, so what? If you enjoy talking, just go for it.
Exactly. And we'll leave it on that note. Amanda, you couldn't have ended it more beautifully.
Oh.
Brilliant answers, Amanda. Yeah, it's a question I'm very keen to dig into your knowledge and see what you'd say. So fantastic for that. Fantastic. Last question of Life Stories Part 13. Oh. Here we go. Amanda, who was the best non-Arsenal player domestically that you've enjoyed watching play? You can pick past and present, obviously, and British or non-British.
Right. I've always said this. I know it's not going to go down particularly well. But over the years, I've always loved Harry's captained his team. It was Steven Gerrard.
Good shout.
If we only had a Steven Gerrard, Jesus, over the years.
I've
never hated Liverpool. I've always respected them. Growing up in the 80s, they won everything. Every game, everything. You just couldn't beat them.
Yeah, top side.
Fortress at Anfield. So what we did in 89, there we go. I've mentioned it. Only an hour later. No, Holly, not Harry Kane.
No, I'm not even putting it up. That's why I didn't even put it up in the chat.
Harry, no. Steven
Gerrard is a good shout. You know why I say that, Amanda? Because
footballer.
Do you know why I say that? Because a lot of people, when they do Premier League's greatest 11s, right? Now, for me, if you're going to play, depending on the system you pick, let's just say 4-4-2. For me, it's a no-brainer, Vieira and Gerrard. Absolute no-brainer. People can argue the toss of me as much as till the cows come home. You are not going to sway me on having them two as a centre midfield pairing, because they could do everything. You told me something that they couldn't do. Anyone in the chat, please tell me something that Vieira and Gerrard, if there was a midfield two in your team, that they could not do.
No.
Good in the air, defensively sound, goals, passing, tackling, every single facet you want in a midfield player, they both had.
And brilliant captain.
Yes, exactly.
Gerrard is a brilliant captain. So in the 80s, they were a force to be reckoned with.
Oof.
I never hated them, always respected them.
Yeah.
In the 90s, United, I hated everything when they used to surround the referees and they were just
so rang the referees. Yeah, they did. They
I
did.
don't know what
It
the
was
word is
awful.
I'm trying to say. They were like rats around you know what I mean? I just didn't respect them the way they were. The Nevilles, none of them. Oh, and I hated Teddy Sheringham. So with Liverpool, I don't have that hatred. I do have a lot of respect. And you know, if you were going to ask me who my favourite rival manager is, it's always been Jurgen Klopp. And I know a lot of people hate Liverpool and that. I don't. I go up there quite a bit, and I absolutely love the city, love the people. I do.
Good city, very good city.
I flipping love everything about Liverpool. It's just not my football team. That's all. Whenever we go there, apart from that 89, we haven't done very well. But Steven Gerrard for me. But there's many other players I've loved. There's so many fantastic players over the years. You know, I look at someone like, as much as I hate Chelsea, N'Golo Kante, what a player. You know,
Superb.
Superb, as much as I hate saying it, you know. I will not say any Tottenham players, Holly, I do apologise.
No, we're not saying
there
that.
Isn't any.
I'll one of mine in the chat. He's just put one in the chat.
Paul Scholes, what a player. And you know what, Paul Scholes, even to this day now, he wouldn't be in social media. Let me tell you now, he would not be on social media.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
He was so shy. But what a player Paul Scholes was. But there's so many wonderful players. Robbie Fowler, Ian Rush. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
Phenomenal players.
If I'm looking at current, man, there's one player for me. I love him. If I played football, I love him to be in my team. I think he's one step ahead. I love Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's superb. He's a superb footballer.
If we were coming up to now, I tweeted that on Sunday.
Yeah.
I said, what a player De Bruyne is. Now, I spoke to one of my Man City friends today, and I said to him, do you know what? You are so frigging lucky to have De Bruyne in your team. He's been there quite a few years as well. And I was asking him about that. He plays number 17. I said, why is it 17? He said, I don't know. I said, I just want to know because I'm going to talk about him tonight. I said, I don't know what else. I mean, he's phenomenal.
He is. He's just, I don't know what it is with him. There's lots of, there's even someone like David Silva was superb. Absolutely brilliant. Midfield maestro.
Yeah. Then you've got Aguero. I mean, you could really pick out of teams that were just, see, I hated Eric Cantona though. So I couldn't, he was brilliant, but I couldn't, you know, I just couldn't. I mean, look, Wayne Rooney was brilliant for him, but I just couldn't. But there's certain players like, you know, Gary Lineker at Everton, not at Tottenham. You know, what a player he was. And, you know, one of the best, obviously, who never won anything was Shearer. Alan Shearer was just
phenomenal striker. Yeah,
loved his elbows, but he was a phenomenal player. Yeah. But there are many players.
So many who could name. So even if I was going to go outside of the Premier League, there's one player for me sticks out. Xavi, ex-Barcelona in Spain. I just think he was on a different level.
Xavi Alonso?
No, Xavi, Iniesta and Xavi.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. He just, I rarely ever saw the guy take more than 2 touches. 1 touch, 2 touch. 1 touch,
amazing,
2 touch. Forward thinking. That partnership they had. I would say, Amanda, arguably, people might go mad, but that Spain's national team from 2008 to 2012 is one of the best national teams I've seen. And that's even with France winning the World Cup and the European Championship back to back.
Yeah.
That Spain side was just
Zidane. Zidane is another one. Yeah. I mean, you're asking me to ask one, Albert. You're out of order. One. I could do about 25. There's just been so many amazing footballers over the years, isn't there? You know, even if you go back to the 60s.
Romario. Wow.
Each year, all the what's his name? Not Ronaldinho. What's his name? Ronaldo's. The one
Brazilian Ronaldo.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, obviously the ultimate's Maradona, but I still can't get over the hands of God. That's my problem.
Yeah, we're not going to get over that one. I was only 5 at the time, but listen, I've heard the story. Listen, I saw it. It's black and white, but what can you do? Barnsley, unfortunately for
John
England,
Barnes,
just yeah, he became one of the boo boys. He did. Owen Hargreaves, Ashley Cole, they've all had it. Maguire's getting it now. I don't know why
What,
England
John
fans do
Barnes
it.
gets it, does he? I think
He
it's
got it
brilliant.
when he played for England. Yeah, man, he just. I find it strange because he's so exceptional at Liverpool. When he came to England, I don't think Bobby Robson particularly utilised him at his best, personally speaking. But yeah, Barnsley got it. Barnsley got it just like Ashley Cole did. Like I said, Owen Hargreaves got it. Harry Maguire's getting it now.
Yeah, but Harry Maguire's not very good. He doesn't deserve any abuse. But he's just not very good. And I can't believe people boo their own players. It's ridiculous.
That's another subject. But Amanda, you have been superb for episode 13. People in the chat, you've been amazing. It's been very, very educational and thought-provoking, and some fantastic answers from the original PG. People, as I always say, if you don't know what to do by now, this is what you do. And there you have it once again, people. And of course, as I always say, to hear my dulcet tones, this will go out on my anchor.
Right.
Anchor.
Now, but I've got to stop you there. It's not Dorset, because that's a place in
Dulcet.
And Dulcet. Dulcet. Like just
Dorset's in is that Taunton?
Dorset's
is it? I think
in bleeding Kent or no, Dorset's down
no,
on the south coast.
Is it Somerset or something like that?
No, Dorset's down south, as in like near the south, like Brighton way down there. Dulcet. Okay?
There you have it, people. Dulcet tones. I think I've said it probably. I'll have to check the other 13 episodes to see what I've said.
Dorset, and I was like, what's he talking about Dorset for?
But as you know, people, this will go out on the audio, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that as well as the visual. But people, like I said, and obviously go and subscribe to the Same Old Arsenal channel and follow Amanda. Hit the notification bell. Follow her on Twitter. It's easy to find, people, as you can see it going along the bottom of the screen, as you can see. So, Amanda, thank you once again for giving up your Wednesday evening. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, it is.
I don't know what day it is anymore.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. Amanda, thank you for coming on Live Stories. I hope you enjoyed it.
I loved it. I was thinking to myself, what am I going to talk about for an hour? We've got like an hour and 15. I don't feel like I've even finished talking about Steven Gerrard properly. But no, it's been lovely. So honoured to be asked, honestly. That's so cool.
It's great to have you on, man. And like I said, I'm sure we will definitely see each other before the end of the season. Whether we get top 4 or not will be a different topic. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point anyway. But this is Live Stories. I'll take you away from that, Amanda. Look,
I was going to say not tonight, no.
No, not tonight. That don't happen on Live Stories, not at all. But let me go to the chat quickly. Oh, bloody hell, all coming in now. Look, bloody hell, looks. Here we go. Look, Holly makes me laugh. Great, thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl. Holly. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Holly. Southwest, yeah.
Yeah, Lee, thank you, mate. It was on the game.
Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, that's it. So, people, that is Live Stories over and out. Your host, Albert JTV, as I said, as you know, subscribe away if you want to. It'll be very appreciated. But, people, that is the show over and out. Hashtag Live Stories, episode 13. The Albert JTV red carpet is closed for the night. Take care, people.